Hi everyone. So I'm just going to do a short video to show you guys how to fix the WinRadius server that is on PC A running the free Radius server. Now, in this week 4 lab, right? Okay, we might be using the WinRadius server, but it's broken. Well, if you try to run the program, it'll say there's a missing database. So we're going to proceed and show you how to fix this problem. Now, before we fix the problem, we first have to make sure that the PC is running with an IP address. So the prerequisite, set up the IP address on PCA with 192.168.1.3, which is basically the lab guide information. Okay, following the lab guide information. So let's begin. Okay, so let's go to PCA. Okay, so now to set up your PC, you just click on the search window, control panel. Okay, control panel. There are other ways, of course. For me, I just go control panel, look for network and sharing center. Okay, so that's the network interface. Click on properties and go to TCP/IP version 4. Okay, so there's no IP address. So 192.168.1.3, 255.255.255.0. Okay, now in preparation for the lab, the default gateway is 192.168.1.1, which is pointing to the router. Okay, router 1. Okay, so that's it. Okay, everything. So of course, if you want to double check, okay, so I'm just going to quickly change the prompt just to show you. So make sure the cursor size, not the cursor size, it's the font. Okay, just make sure the fonts are bigger, easier to see. So IP config, you will see, IP config. Okay, you'll see that 192.168.1.3, default gateway of 192.168.1. Of course, if I want to, I can ping. So if I want to, I can ping 192.168.1.3 to show that it's working. So that's good. So now that the PC has been set up with the appropriate IP address, we're going to proceed to fix the problem. Okay, so we're going to proceed to fix the WinRadius. Remember, the problem is that if you try to run it normally, it will say that there's a missing database. Okay, the WinRadius database is missing. So we are going to create the WinRadius database manually through this process. Now, couple of things to note. To create the database and incorporate into the WinRadius server, okay, this free program, we need to exit and rerun the program, okay, to accept any configuration changes. So this is a free WinRadius program, so it doesn't have fancy non-interruptive reset. So you have to shut down the program, rerun the program in order to accept the new changes. With this fix, we will have to exit and rerun the program about 3 times to get it to work. Okay, so don't be surprised in the video you see me shutting down the program, doing the same thing 2 to 3 times to get it to accept the changes. So in this outcome, okay, in this video you'll see me shutting and rebooting the services, the program, about 3 times. So let's begin. So missing database. So how do we fix the missing database? Okay, so there's a missing database. How do we fix the missing database? Okay, so I'm going to address that. So here we would go to the search bar, okay, and do ODBC. Okay, so ODBC data source 32-bit. Okay, then we click on system data source. Okay, the second tab. So we're going to add a new data source that is MDB, which is based on the Microsoft Access. MDB is the Microsoft Access format. So we say finish. So they want to help us to create this new database. So we simply click on the word create. Okay, create. Okay, so the name, okay, then I can have WinRadius. Okay, so for me, I follow exactly how the book spelled the WinRadius with a capital R and a capital W. Okay, WinRadius with a capital W and a capital R. So where should this database be created? Well, it should be created on the desktop of this user. So the user, okay, here is the system admin. Okay, so we click on user. At the C drive, we click on user, okay, and the desktop. Okay, so I'm just going to pause a bit, let you have a look. User, system, okay, C, users, sysadmin, and when you expand that, you click on desktop and you say okay. So as you can see, they say, where do you get? Desktop. Okay, desktop. Make sure it's C, user, sysadmin, desktop. Double click OK again. Now, the database, as you can see, would have been created here. Okay, so the rest we can just cancel it out, because at the end of the day, we just need the system to create this WinRadius.mdb database for us. Okay, see, WinRadius.mdb database. Okay, it's a database, but it has no content. It doesn't have any tables yet. So we're going to use WinRadius and link it to this database and create a table into this database. So let's run the WinRadius. Okay, so go to settings. Okay, so we're going to tell the system, click on system, that hey, the IP address will be the PCA IP address, which is what we have just configured, 192.168.3. So this is a, okay, this is a one of the configuration. So more importantly, we go to database. So we click on database and say configure ODBC database automatically. So this program will look at the same directory, where this program is running, which is at the desktop. So okay, so it would have, it found the so-called ODBC, the WinRadius database. Okay, now the other thing I can do is create the radius database that WinRadius required into this database. Okay, so I create the table and put it into this database. Okay, so to restart the operation, I exit and start again. Now don't be surprised, I might have to do this steps something like 2 times. Okay, it's just the system is like that. It's not as intuitive being a free software. So you say it failed again, right? It failed again. Okay, now we're going to do the whole process again. So the system, can you see they have accepted the IP address, so I don't have to make any changes. So in terms of database, I'm just going to do the steps again. Configure ODBC. Okay, create the radius database. So it's okay. Then exit. Okay. Now this time round, when I boot up the system, can you see that now it is successful? Okay, now it's successful. Okay, so one thing I can do for the one more reboot is I'm going to create, so you click on the plus sign here, I'm going to create a test account that I'll be using in the subsequent video. Test. Okay, so this is a test user with a test password. So I save it. Okay, user has been successfully added, but just as a precaution, I'm going to shut it down and run it again. Okay, so this should be the outcome. Okay, one user was loaded. Okay, and the WinRadius program is running, listening on the 1812 and 1813 port. Okay, now let's minimize this. How do I know whether this free radius program is running? Well, this WinRadius program has a companion software called Radius Test on the desktop as well. So if you think it is working, right, so you can run this program. what is the IP address of this server? 192.168.1.3. Okay, so this is the prearranged pre-shared key. Okay, so as a client of the Radius server, both of us must agree on a pre-shared key so that the WinRadius server knows who is the authorized clients I can serve, who's not. Okay, so more of a authentication process, making sure that you're the right person to query me. So remember, what was the test account that we want to query? Test, and the password is test. Okay, so if I send, I get a bit of googly bleak reply, receive yada yada. So how do I know? So simply go to the server there. Can you see that? Okay, we did communicate to the server, and the server did receive this test account, okay, with the test password, and it has verified against the WinRadius local database, and it was found to be successful. Okay, so this proved that our WinRadius program is up and running, and the missing database problem has been fixed. So you leave this program running, and then you proceed to configure your router 1, which will then proceed to point to this WinRadius server as its external Radius server for SSH authentication in the following video. Okay, so thanks for your attention.